In this video, we share our experience visiting Besakih temple, as well as some cool facts about the most important, the largest temple in all of Bali. Towards the end of the video, we'll be sharing some tips and what to avoid when visiting this temple, so make sure you watch till the end to find out everything you need to know about the mother temple of Bali. This is what the temple, or at least the weather, looks like up here. It's a bit misty. Not a bit, it's actually really foggy out here. But yeah, we're gonna go in. We paid for parking, which is around 5,000 Indonesian rupiah, which is 50 cents Canadian or something like that. I don't know how much the entrance is, but I think we have to go through that gate over there and then enter. The entry fee was 150,000 Indonesian rupiah per person, which is roughly around 13 Canadian dollars or $9 US. Included in the entrance fee is a professional guide if desired, the shuttle to go up, and the rental for a sarong. So we just got here, and I wouldn't say it's a scam. I mean, they were trying to scam us by selling us a lot of stuff as soon as we got here.
Offerings.
And then a lot of offerings, which is fine. I know it's part of the culture, but we just want to walk around, and there was just like a bunch of people down there trying to sell us stuff.
Yeah.
And I just want to walk around, but
it's a bit chaotic, not gonna lie.
It's a bit chaotic. Besakih Temple is the largest temple complex in all of Indonesia that is comprised of over 80 temples. The temple dates all the way back to the 8th century during the ancient Balinese kingdom of Warmadewa. This temple is also known as the Mother Temple of Bali. With the fog hovering above the temple, ceremonies and rituals happening in different parts of the complex, walking around here felt like we were in another world. It is such a surreal experience. We continue to walk around the different temples, and many of the temples are occupied with ceremonies taking place, and on the path we were walking on, many locals seem to be either going to a temple to do ceremonies or leaving from one. Like I said, it is such a cool experience to witness. Update: you don't need a guide to walk around the temple.
You do not. No offering as well.
Yeah, no offering as well, or no bandanas. I think to go into the ritual or ceremonies, yeah, that makes sense, but we just wanted to walk around outside. But it's a massive temple. Besakih Temple is located in a village on the slopes of Mount Agung, situated at about 1,000 meters or 3,000 feet. Mount Agung is an active volcano that is also the highest point in Bali. This is a sacred place to the Hindu population of Bali. When the volcano erupted in 1963, the boiling hot lava miraculously parted and flowed around the temple, leaving it untouched but destroying everything else in its path. Whether you're religious or not, it is fairly remarkable how the lava just went around the temple and leaving it untouched. The structure of the complex is built in 6 levels with step terraces and flights of stairs that leads to courtyards and gateways. Basically, the larger the temple in the complex, the higher its significance. The largest and most significant temple of them all is the Pura Agung, the Great Temple of State. 4 temples within the complex represents 4 forms of God at the compass points: East, West, North, and South. The temple's name refers to a dragon. As legend would have it, it is believed by the locals here that this dragon inhabits Mount Agung. It is really beautiful out here. You know, you get haggled quite a bit, but I have to say the temple itself is very beautiful. It's so serene, and I think the fog definitely made it more majestic. But yeah, if you're gonna come here, make sure you come first thing in the morning. I'm not quite sure what time they open, but I highly suggest coming here first thing in the morning to avoid the crowd, just because right now, as you can see, we're actually also if you're going to take a photo, make sure you take a photo up here. Everyone's waiting over on that area. There's a queue to line up. I think it's like right on the middle.
This one is better.
Yeah, I think this one is definitely much better over here as opposed to the one on the middle. But yeah, right now I think we're just gonna head back to downtown Ubud, maybe grab some food. But yeah, what do you think of the temple?
I think it's really nice, and I think it's also very worth it to come here, even though you get handled quite a bit, but it's worth it.
It is so worth it. And the entry is about 150,000 Indonesian rupiah. I don't know if that's because there's an event happening today.
That could be it.
Or if it's the normal price, but either or. It was definitely worth it to see the locals doing their rituals and prayers as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. highly recommend this temple. So it's about an hour away from Ubud, worth the drive. The ticket includes a shuttle to get up here, but on the way down, you have to walk down. And this is the shuttle that you get onto when you need to come up here at the temple. It's about, I don't know, a 2-minute ride?
Yeah,
it's fairly quick. Temple, worth it driving here, and even for that price, it's definitely the second highest in terms of cost or entrance fee I paid for a temple. Cambodia was Angkor Wat was definitely the most expensive one, and this one's got to be the second most expensive one. I think just because we're in front of where they have all the prices, it's still the same. It still says 150 each, because I mean, I can't read, I don't know what that means, but I'm pretty sure that means 150,000 for visiting tourists and 80,000 for locals, because the motorbike parking was 5,000 rupiah that we paid for. So I don't think, it's not because it was an event. So it was actually even much nicer, the fact that there was an event happening at this temple, because it just made the experience that much more majestic.
I agree with that.
I am hungry. So we're gonna grab lunch right now, and hopefully we can find something midway before Ubud, if anything, just because Ubud is about an hour away from here. So I hope we find something. Did you enjoy it?
I did. Such a good time.
It was such a beautiful temple, and it was so majestic. That fog that was up there just made that temple that much more majestic. Highly recommend it if you are here in Bali.
We found food 10 minutes away from the temple, which was great because it was a long drive back to Ubud, so it was good to get some food before hitting the road. And now for more tips and final thoughts on visiting the Besakih temple. We just got back from Besakih temple, and that was such an amazing temple. Definitely one of my favorite temples here in Bali. It's apparently one of the biggest, the biggest temple here in Bali, and it's even known for its nickname Mother of Temples or something like that.
Mother Temple.
Mother Temple in Bali, which is really, really cool. And I mean, we knew it instantly as soon as we walked in. The place was huge.
It was massive.
Yeah, it was really, really big, and over 80 individual temples within that complex, which is a lot.
That's a lot of temples.
Yeah, but if you're gonna go to Besakih temple, we highly suggest going in first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And the ticket is about 150,000 Indonesian rupiah, and that includes the shuttle to get up to the temple, because it's quite the climb. It's a steady incline, to get up. And that includes the entrance fee, obviously, and it includes a guide, supposedly.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. So once you're getting your sarong, also if you brought your own pants, if you're a male, which I did, they're not gonna allow pants. You have to wear a sarong.
Yeah.
Like, it's mandatory. And if you're a female, obviously you're gonna have a sarong as well. But once you get through putting on the sarong, and I mean, we tried going up the hill even.
Yeah.
And then one of the guys stopped us because obviously we look clueless and we're a bunch of tourists.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, did you pay for your ticket already?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we did. Like, we also get. Oh, I don't have my wristband.
I still have
but
it. But
Jasmina has a wristband, so you'll get this wristband as well. And they'll actually scan this once you. There's another second entry point. There's a second checkpoint, and then they'll scan it to make sure it's valid. But once we're waiting once we tried getting up there, he was like, no, wait for the shuttle. And at first it was nice because, oh yeah, I forgot, like over the counter they told me that the shuttle is included. I didn't know that you were supposed to wait for the shuttle there because they had no signs. There were just a lot of people waiting there.
Yeah.
And then you get like these two buggies coming down, and then they pick you up and take you up to the entrance of the temple. But the guy, his name was Naomi.
Oh, shout out. Beware.
Yeah, beware. Because here's the thing, like the guides are included, but I think it's also optional because this guide, I mean, I get that he's trying to make a living and all that stuff too, which I respect, but at the end of the day, like, we try to avoid scams or getting scammed as much as possible, especially on the road, because I mean, if you give into the scams, you are just gonna have to, you're gonna end up
deal with more other scammers as well.
Deal with other scammers, and you just end up like throwing away your money. I wouldn't say throw away your money, but like spend money unnecessarily, and it also ruins the experience, because I know in the beginning it definitely ruined the experience for me, because
me too.
It's secondly, like, it's not a cost thing, but it's definitely one of the most expensive temples that I've ever paid to go into. Angkor Wat is definitely the most expensive one, which that makes sense because it's one of the 7 wonders. And Besakih Temple, it's very, very beautiful, but it's also like it comes at a cost, which I also mentioned in this vlog, that it's worth it after all.
Yeah.
But my point is, when we hopped onto the shuttle, he was, at first he was like being very nice and like, yeah, I'm gonna be your tour guide, and I actually agreed, and Jasmina was like, well,
I was like, well.
Yeah, she was like, well, are you sure he's legit? And I'm like, well, yeah, because like over the counter, they told me that the guide is included with this ticket. And then he did say, like, if you like my, well, what did he say? If you like my service or whatever, or like how, you can tip me.
Yeah.
Like right off the bat. And I'm
like, that's really sketchy. Like,
yeah, it's sketch, but it's also like, whatever, it's fine. But it is fairly sketchy to like say off the bat, like, hey, tip me, just to let you know.
Because the thing is that they can go from saying tip me, but then, in our head that's going to be, okay, whatever we think is necessary, but then they're also most likely going to try and ask you for a much bigger amount, because that's like the little stories that I've heard from other people that went into some temples, that they will get overcharged.
Yeah, and like any temples out there, they will claim to be an official guide when really they aren't. And in fact, before we got into the shuttle, he showed me like this ID, and like that to me instantly is like, I never asked for your ID, and that's already like a red flag. Showing me that you're an official guide and whatnot. But okay, so we went up to the temple, to the entrance, and it took about a few minutes, and then they had to scan our wristbands and whatnot, and then once we got off, there were a flock of people trying to sell us things like an offering, which I completely understand. I respect the culture, I respect the traditions, but they literally wouldn't let us move. And then Naomi, our guide, was saying, oh, you should buy this to get in, and then you should buy that, and then you should buy the bandana. And then at first I'm like, okay, I was open to listening, and I was like, yeah, I'll purchase it if I need to. But there were other people walking in without a tour guide, without a bandana, without anything, an offering or any of that. And so I asked them respectfully, I was like, what about them? What about him? What about her? What about all these people that just got off the shuttle and they don't have a bandana, they don't have any of that stuff? And then he just kept saying, and I know language may be, English might be a barrier or whatever, but he kept saying that, oh, no, you got to buy a bandana to go in, and then you got to buy this and that. And that to me was just a red flag. And they wouldn't even let Jasmina move. I think a few of them started tugging on her back or something, which is, it ruins the experience of everything. And not to complain, I'm sure we've been to like other worse places, but these are definitely the kinds of things that ruins an experience for us, at least for me personally.
Me too,
And nonetheless, he you know, he kept pushing us, he kept pushing me to like buy all these things. And then he, at the end of it all, he was like, do you want a guide? I'm like, no, I just want to walk around. Like, because we see people with no guides whatsoever. And also the way I travel, I mean, at least before, I just like to be on my own. And like for us, we like to be alone because we also like to take photos and videos. And as much as we want to find out more about the history of the temple and learn more about it, I think one thing I've done in my past is just to Google things and learn more about it after, because I'm taking photos and videos and also soaking everything in at the same time while I'm there and being in the moment. Whereas if I feel like if there was a guide, then I think for me, I just want to go my own pace. And I think for us, we want to go on our own pace. And at that time, we were just, we were annoyed because there were just a flock of them and we wouldn't let them, I mean, they wouldn't let us move or breathe. I, in fact, even went the other way, started going the other way just to avoid them. And then Naomi was like, where are you going? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, this is my first time here. And he's like, you're going back out. And I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, this is the entrance. And I just started walking and, started walking away from the crowd. But yeah, overall, after that, it was, I enjoyed the temple. And I'm glad we went without a guide. But I mean, that's up to you. It is optional. It is included. But beware of people approaching you at that shuttle, because some of them could be fake, and then some of them could be like valid, some of them could be real. But I think that moment, I even Googled afterwards when we were eating, and a lot of people on the blogs were saying that it ruins the experience, it ruins the whole thing, the whole point of being in a temple. But again, that's Southeast Asia for you, and I think you also, as a tourist, at least for me, I've traveled here so many times, and I know Jasmina has as well. It's trying to understand that people also got to make a living. But for us tourists, that, it ruins the experience right off the bat. But afterwards, I definitely enjoyed the temple. It is so beautiful to see. For one, there was a ceremony happening, which I think was amazing and made visiting the temple that much more better and the experience much more better. And even when we got to the top, there were a lot of people trying to haggle you for photos. They were like, we'll take a photo for $2 or something, and it's the reflection photo or whatever. And we obviously respectfully said no. But so that's one thing. It's just in the beginning, just it's up to you. If you want to have an offering, sure, go for it, but it's not necessary. A guide is not necessary. A bandana for males is not necessary. You're more than welcome to roam around the temple. Just obviously there's temples where it's locked or where they're having rituals or ceremonies. Then that's just common sense. Don't walk in, especially if you're a tourist and you see just a bunch of locals and you don't see any tourists. I mean, don't go in. That's just common sense. But where there's walking paths outside of the temples and you see tourists with guides or guides with tourists walking around and soaking in the views, then I would just go there. But it was fairly straightforward. Like, it was just a path around the temples, and we didn't go into any of them. In fact, we saw any tourists inside the temples, inside the ceremonies.
No, they're not allowed. There's even a big sign there that said like tourists should not
and Naomi, shout outs to you, but you lied to us because you said if I wanted to go in the temple, I would wear a bandana and have an offering, but I don't think we would have been allowed still.
No, we would not, because that's just meant for the people there. That's meant for prayer only, and
Yeah, the fog also, I mean, I think on a clear day, it's going to be beautiful and amazing. But I don't know, I really enjoyed the fog. I thought that added to the whole majestic vibes to the setting. Highly suggest going to Besakih Temple if you are here, though. It's definitely worth it. It's an hour away from Ubud. If you know how to ride a scooter, then go for it. But if not, then I highly suggest taking a shuttle or setting up some sort of tour within the town of Ubud. I think for the rest of the day, we're just gonna do some editing and work, maybe post another YouTube video, or at least work on another YouTube video. Just me and I work hard on these YouTube videos. Even when we're out on the road, we definitely make time for it just so we can post it up and share it with you. So make sure you subscribe to my channel and Jasmina's channel as well. And I'm just gonna end the vlog here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and like I said, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. Give this video a big thumbs up, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.